Hello there. It's the feel-good edition of the show. Thanks for joining me on Sport Exchange. Gideon is my name, and let's get started. Yes, it's sports business where we talk all things business as far as sports is concerned. So on today's show, it promises to be another interesting one. Today we'll be looking at an interesting topic, and we will fill you in as far as sports business news is concerned on the show. We're going to break now, and when I return, I'll take the news, and after that will be time for our discussion segment, which you also know as our dugout segment. So just stand by and roll with me. Let's enjoy the best of the show together as I go on the break, and we'll be back. Don't go away.
Fantastically finished.
Welcome. We start with this news from Italy. Redbird Capital as reportedly, that's Redbird Capitals. They have reportedly finalized a deal to purchase 2021-2022 Serie A champions AC Milan, valuing the Italian soccer club at $1.3 billion, according to Bloomberg. The New York-based private investment firm, which has $6 billion in assets under management, won its bid for the Serie A club over Invesco, the Middle East's largest alternative asset manager. Current owner Elliott Management will still keep a minority stake. Invesco, which has $41 billion in assets under management, was once in exclusive talks to buy AC Milan from Elliott, but failed to reach a deal before the end of an exclusivity period in April. Discovery-owned Eurosport has enjoyed its biggest week in 7 years, thanks to healthy audiences across Europe for its coverage of the French Open tennis Grand Slam and cycling Giro d'Italia. The broadcaster saw its best ever opening week at Roland Garros, with Eurosport's one audience increasing by 43% in 2021, while Eurosport's 2 rose 24% year-on-year. Local favorites Rafael Nadal and Carlos Alcaraz helped drive a 94% rise in viewers in Spain year-on-year. Germany and Italy's viewership was up 26% and 46% respectively. The figures arrived in the first year of Discovery's renewed multi-territory broadcast partnership with the French Tennis Federation for Roland Garros, which runs for 5 years and covers more than 50 territories. ITV and Twitter have confirmed a new multi-year UK content partnership to optimize the commercial broadcasters' output to the social media platform, as well as working on new bespoke content activations. The partnership will bring more than 1,200 real-time highlights clips from one of Europe's largest content providers to Twitter, while the deal also covers ITV's entertainment output. The broadcaster's sports coverage, including the Qatar 2022 World Cup, will also be amplified on Twitter. Over the next 2 years, ITV says the Twitter deal will also cover its 2023 Rugby World Cup and FA Cup contents. And finally, cryptocurrency brands helped the National Basketball Association, known as the NBA, rake in $1.64 billion in annual sponsorship fees for the 2021-2022 season, a year-over-year rise of 12.5%, according to a study by sponsorship consultancy IEG. Brands in the cryptocurrency space alone spent more than 130 million US dollars for 2021-2022, with IEG sponsorship intelligence database highlighting the massive increase from the season prior when the sector spends less than 2 million US dollars. 5 brands: Crypto.com, Webull, Coinbase, FTX, and Socials are responsible for 92% of the cryptocurrency sector spending in the NBA, including some of the most high-profile inventory in the league, such as naming and jersey patch sponsorship. A notable example includes Crypto.com snapping up the naming rights for the Los Angeles Lakers home arena in a deal reportedly worth 700 million US dollars over 20 years. And that's it for the news, sports business news on this segment. We're going to break, and it's the dugout segment next. My guest is standing by. Don't go away.
Fantastically finished.
Welcome back. It's still Sport Exchange, and I'm your host, Jide Olaniro. The sports business landscape is expanding at the speed of light. Yeah. And so many things that are happening. So you need to be updated. One of the areas that is throwing up controversies or throwing up different challenges is the area of intellectual property as it affects sports. And that is the reason we are looking at sports and intellectual property on today's show. Joining me to shed light on that is an intellectual property lawyer. Anwiri Chinda joins me from Lagos, Nigeria. Anwiri, how are you doing? Good to have you on the show.
Hi, great to see you as well. Thank you for having me.
All right. I want to believe that your smile is somehow, I want to believe that your smile is copyrighted, Sha, because the way your smile is, I just believe that it should be copyrighted. It's beginning, it looks like some intellectual property to you. Anyway, let's get down to business. Let's just talk about sports and intellectual property. If we talk about sports and intellectual property, what does intellectual property actually means in sports?
Great question. So when you're talking about intellectual property and sports, you're looking at it from the business aspect. You'll see intellectual property in action. You're going to be interacting with sponsors, endorsements, brand, broadcasting, and everything that has to do with the commercialization and exploitation of the sports industry. So the sports industry is a huge one, not just focused on football. I know football is like the most popular sport out there, but then when you talk about intellectual property, you have the naming rights of the studio. I know you made, I watched where you talked about endorsement deals and sponsorship deals that are raking a lot of money for NBA. Those are the things that intellectual property do. So the names of the brand, the image rights of the sport athletes that can use it to create merchandise for themselves by registering it as a trademark. So their name, for instance, we have CR7, Messi, J-Link, and the rest of them. So IP or intellectual property is not just about, creating things or inventing things, about you also benefiting from that thing that you've created in the sports sector. IP basically that this is with every industry, but as your question is focused on sports, we're just going to talk about how IP interplays with sports generally.
That should be like a follow-up to that. Then why is IP important in sports, if I may ask you?
Basically, the money. commercialization and exploiting every aspect of it. So let's start with the sports event and the sports organizers. They have to generate revenue for the event. They'll be looking out for sponsorship deals, people that want to place adverts, broadcasting stations like ITV, ESPN, and the rest of them that want to broadcast live sporting events to viewers who are waiting at home to get the latest and juiciest information about their favorite sport. Then you have the players themselves. They are the ones that, entertain the crowd. But then how do these players commercialize their intellectual property? They have unique poses, they have unique names that fans call them. So for instance, now CR7 for Cristiano Ronaldo, who has several trademarks in that for that particular name. So the name, the logo, the sign symbol can be trademarked. Now another aspect that I want to make mention of is industrial design. So the combination of line on the jerseys they wear, the shoes they wear, the brands that are sponsoring, anything that has a visual appearance that you can actually see. So the football, the shoes, the field itself can be, the grasses are patented. Patent basically protects inventions that solves an issue. So in the sporting sector, what are those issues that um, the stakeholders have experienced and want that solved immediately? We had the likes of the VAR, which you can use actually do a replay to be sure that whatever decisions as a referee you're going to take is actually accurate. Then you have the broadcasting right there, media houses get exclusive license to broadcast sporting events in a particular territory. I would like to make emphasis on the fact that intellectual property is territorial in nature. What that means is that it's only the countries that you get to protect your work that you get to exploit it. So if NTA, for instance, wants to get a license from one of the big broadcasting media platforms, they have to go into an exclusive or non-exclusive arrangement. I know a couple of years ago we had the issue where the NBC had made a rule stating that anyone who has a sporting license has to sub-license, and that kind of raised some issue because licensing is a way for the sporting industry to commercialize and make money, basically just generate revenue for themselves. So I guess I'll just wrap it up there and say IP is very important because it creates jobs. It also encourages creativity, innovation. It also helps put the country in question of the map, whereby you get people coming in from different countries to experience sporting events like the Olympics and the rest. The tourism sector grows, the hospitality sector grows, and everybody is making money and going home happy.
Thank you very much. Anwiri, this is like an aside. I know that there are young people, especially those in tech in Nigeria, they are beginning to build some, some kind of, they're beginning to create some innovation kind of in a bit to add value to this sports landscape in Nigeria. Some of them are big, for example, building, especially those in the area of esports now. What do you think most of those people, because the esports sector is becoming vibrant, what do you think those people operating in this sector should take note of at this point? Because they will definitely start to be controversy around IP issues. So as a lawyer, what would you advise those operating in those areas now?
Great question. So the esports is like the new emerging area when it comes to, fusing technology and sports. Now, if you look at the likes of virtual reality and metaverse, you see that we're thinking bigger and trying to be ahead of ourselves. But going back to your question, for esports enthusiasts or developers, you're going to be interacting with not just lawyers, you're not just going to be dealing with contracts, you're also going to be dealing with developers, you're going to be using already existing softwares to build your games, or you're going to be creating new softwares, new source code, object code, whatever it is using to build that particular sport in that sector. Now, things to consider: the name of the game in question, what is your logo, the players themselves, how do they commercialize their brand from their name to their image, their likeness when they play online or when they go for sporting events or competition, either in Nigeria or in Africa or internationally. How do you deal with disputes that arise between these parties, as the case may be? So for the intellectual property aspect, your name, your logo, your sign symbol, your designs. If you have a merchandise as well, that could also help. So merchandising is a way of you commercializing what you have. So if you have a club or a team, your teammate can just create merch in form of t-shirts, school bags, pen, mugs, whatever it is, cups, and sell to able to raise funds for themselves. Also, when you're dealing with developers, it's advisable that you have a proper contract, because let's focus on the copyright aspect of it. What the copyright law in Nigeria provides is that the first person who creates the work that is the game now is the original author. However, in the event of an agreement where you were hired to build that game and a contract was signed, you transfer that right to the person that hired you. Or maybe while you are working for an sports company, you were tasked to, contribute to the game that the company is building. It belongs to your company and not to you. Where there's no contract, the person that builds, the developer, has that, owns that intellectual property or owns the copyright in that intellectual property. They're looking at your name. You have to choose a name that is very unique and distinctive. You don't use a generic name, a common word to name your game. For instance, C game or Biro or anything that that is just a very common word. Your name has to be very unique, to be a combination of all your team members or something that is endeared to your heart. Just use that as a name. And your logo as well. Make sure that you're not infringing on an already existing logo out there. I know a couple of years ago I was tagged on a post where two sporting brands had this almost like similar logos, and I was asked what were my views. So the trademark law would say that if your logo or your mark in this question is similar to another person up to the extent where it confuses the consumers or the consumers will link one to the other, then you know that you have an issue. But any other thing other than that is just contract, drafting contracts with your team members, what they're expected to do. The intellectual property aspect as to who owns what at the end of the day. If you have a partner that you build the gaming sector in, what is the agreement going to provide? You also have to say what percentage the person has, because two or more persons can own an intellectual property, where that what that means is that you are all co-authors or joint owners of that work. And the intellectual property laws in Nigeria, especially the trademark and the copyright law, are very clear on what happens when you have more than one author in a particular intellectual property.
That's something huge. I hope that I will not be sued for saying that, but that's something huge that I just explained. All right, then let's quickly wrap up this segment. Can a sport be copyrighted? Because I mentioned sports events like football or just basketball. Can it be copyrighted?
Well, the long and short answer to that is that sports cannot be copyrighted. However, there are elements of the sporting industry that can enjoy copyright protection. For instance, broadcasting of the live games, the images of the players, pictures. I know we had an issue a couple of months ago where Fuja Media had taken a picture of Kelechi Iheanacho, and that kind of raised an issue where Kelechi had reposted the picture and removed the watermark. So those are the copyright elements, but saying sports itself can be copyrighted, that's not possible. Even the performance cannot be copyrighted. A footballer or an athlete's favorite pose or trademark that you. So if someone scores a goal, for instance, say Messi scores a goal, he does his famous pose, or Usain Bolt wins a race and he does his famous pose. That cannot be copyrighted. However, You can explore other forms of intellectual property like trademark. Trademark gives you the opportunity to actually commercialize that unique element of your work. Broadcasting, you can go into licensing arrangement, either an exclusive one or a license or a non-exclusive arrangement, other people to actually broadcast the sporting events. I know sometime in 2014 there was this issue that was trending as to whether if a consumer or a fan will post a video of say a goal that was that took place, is that infringing on the rights of the broadcasting media houses? And it raised a lot of conversation where the UK had to create a new requirement or condition as to what would qualify as fair dealing in that instance. What that means basically is that your action is not infringing on anyone's rights. You are basically reporting an event. You're either criticizing an event, you're either using it for research purpose or it's for your private use. So those are the issues that may sometimes arise when we're talking about copyrights in the sporting industry. Or other than that, nah, you can't really copyright the sports industry for anything in the sports industry. Just and all the ones related to the visual and artistic was your videos, your broadcast, voice recording, sound recording as well. So yeah.
All right. Anwiri, I must say thank you very much. I know that very soon we will have, because it's a developing, especially in this part of the world, we know that the sports industry is just developing and there are issues that will come up from time to time. So I hope that anytime we call on you, you will answer us as we look at issues that comes up from time to time.
Definitely, I will answer you. But I'd like to clarify, I'm based in Port Harcourt, not Lagos. But I do come to Lagos.
I'm sorry.
Lagos
All right, that's fine. That's fine. It's still in Nigeria. Anyway, I've been talking to podcaster and intellectual property lawyer Anwiri Chinda. Thanks for giving us your time, and we appreciate. Hope to see you soon someday.
Thank you for having me, and have a good afternoon.
All right. That was Anwiri Chinda, our guest, intellectual property lawyer and podcaster. Okay, and before we go on the show, let me take you through this particular one. It's Did You Know? In case you don't know, let me tell you this. Do you know that Italian football club AC Monza has been promoted to Serie A for the first time in their history? They will be the 69th different club to play in Serie A. The club is owned by former AC Milan president Silvio Berlusconi. In 2017, Berlusconi sold his share in Milan for 723 million euros and bought AC Monza for 2.9 million euros. He bought Monza while they were in the Italian third tier. He made his brother Paolo Berlusconi the president and brought on board long-term collaborator and friend Adriano Galliani as CEO. Together with Adriano Galliani, they won 29 trophies with Milan between 1986 and 2016. Since buying Monza, he's invested estimated like 70 million euros to get the club from the Serie C to Serie A. What a shrewd businessman. Who says there's no money in sports? Go and consult Silvio Berlusconi. That's it. All right, we have to go now. Yeah, thanks for joining me. And don't forget that we have our soft, our soft page, should I say, our social media handles where we get your feedback. Yeah, Sport Exchange 24 on Facebook and Twitter and TV360 on YouTube. You can watch this program all over again. And before I leave my offside, today we have an offside. Yeah, let me drop it like it's hot. The intrigues that have characterized the Nigeria Basketball Federation leadership tussle like a drama badly plotted has ended in anticlimax, with the federal government through the Ministry of Sports and Youth Development announcing the country's withdrawal from international engagement for 2 years. Another knee-jerk move that will be counterproductive with time. Yes, the NBBF has a constitution adopted by the Nigerian Olympic Commission and FIBA. That's the world governing body for basketball. If you have a problem with it, approach the Congress, but trust power mongers. They must bring down the house on everybody. There is no constitution that is perfect. If truly the warring factions love the game and the players, they will work out a peaceful resolution through the instrumentality of the approved constitution. Just like the problem with governance in the larger society, the constitution is amenable. That is why the National Assembly holds a constitutional amendment session in order to create balance. Now we have an interim management committee unknown to the law and unrecognized by the International Federation. Trust me, 2 years will be wasted as the status quo will be maintained eventually. Anyway, history is taking stock of the role played by everyone. The world is enough for the wise. That's our side today. Thanks for joining me on this edition. Let's do this again some other time. Jide Olaniran signing off.